This is a reading from The Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis, chapter 22, on being mindful of God's blessings. The disciple. Open my heart, O Lord, to know your law, and teach me to live according to your commandments. Psalm 119, verse 1, 2 Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 4. Grant me to know your will and reverently to consider all your countless blessings, that henceforward I may yield your due and worthy thanks. I know and confess that I am wholly unable to render you proper thanks, even for the least of the many blessings that you grant me, for I am less than the least of your gifts. When I consider your boundless generosity, my spirit grows faint at its greatness. Whatever powers of soul and body we possess, outwardly or inwardly, natural or supernatural, are your own gifts, and proclaim the bounty of the loving and good God, from whom we receive all good gifts. And whether we receive more or less, all gifts are yours, and without you we have nothing. Thus, whoever has received abundant gifts may not on that account boast of his merits, nor exalt himself above his fellows, nor despise any who are less richly endowed. For the greater and better a man is, the less he attributes to himself, and the more humbly and devoutly he returns thanks to God. He who holds himself in humble esteem, and judges himself most unworthy, is most fitted to receive God's greatest gifts. One who has received lesser gifts should not on that account be grieved, or envious of those who are more richly endowed than himself. Rather, he should return to you and praise your goodness, for your gifts are given generously, freely, and readily, without respect of persons. Romans chapter 2, verse 2. All good things come of you. Therefore, in all things, you are to be praised. Romans chapter 11, verse 36. You alone know what is right for each to receive. It is not for us to judge why one has less and another more, for you alone can weigh the merits of each. O Lord God, I count it a great mercy not to possess many of those gifts which outwardly appear praiseworthy and admirable in the eyes of men. For a man who recognizes his own poverty and worthlessness should not be sad and sorry, nor be dejected on that account. Rather, should he take comfort and be glad for you, O God, have chosen the poor, the humble, and the despised of this world to be your own familiar friends. John chapter 15, verse 15, and 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 27. And servants, your apostles are themselves witnesses of this, whom you have made princes over the whole earth. Psalm chapter 45, verse 16. Yet they lived in this world without complaint, being so humble, simple, and without malice or deceit, that they were glad to endure reproaches for your name's sake. Acts chapter 5, verse 41. And what the world seeks to avoid, they embraced with ready gladness. Nothing should give so much joy to one who loves you and receives your blessings as that your holy will and the good pleasure of your eternal purpose should be accomplished in him. With this, he should be so greatly comforted and content that he would as gladly be accounted the least of men as others might desire to be accounted great. He would be as peaceable and content in the last place as in the first. Luke chapter 14, verse 10. As willing to be a despised outcast of no name or reputation as to be honored and exalted among the great. Your will and the honor of your name must come before all else. This will bring greater comfort and richer pleasure than all other benefits that have been or may be given. Chapter 23, on 4 things that bring peace. Christ, my Son, I will now teach you the way of peace and true freedom. The disciple, Lord, instruct me, I pray. I am eager to learn. Christ, my Son, resolve to do the will of others rather than your own. Matthew chapter 26, verse 39. Always choose to possess less rather than more. Matthew chapter 10, verse 10. Always take the lowest place and regard yourself as less than others. Luke chapter 14, verse 10. Desire and pray always that God's will may be perfectly fulfilled in you. Matthew chapter 6, verse 10. A man who observes those rules shall come to enjoy peace and tranquility of soul. The disciple, Lord, in these few words of yours lie the whole secret of perfection. If I could only faithfully observe them, no trouble would distress me. For whenever I am anxious and weary, I find that it is because I have strayed from your teachings. All things are in your power, and you always long to bring souls to perfection. Give me your grace ever more richly. Help me to keep your word and advance my salvation. A prayer against evil thoughts. My Lord and God, do not abandon me. Remember my need, for many evil thoughts and horrid fears trouble my mind and terrify my soul. How shall I pass through them unhurt? How shall I break their power over me? You have said, I will go before you and will humble the proud upon earth. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 2. I will open the gates of the prison and reveal to you the hidden treasures and secrets of the ages. Do, O Lord, as you have said, and let your coming put to flight all wicked thoughts. It is my hope and comfort that I can turn to you in all my troubles, put my trust in you, call upon you in my heart, and wait your comfort and patience. A prayer for mental light. O merciful Jesus, send the brightness of your light into my mind, and banish all darkness from the sanctuary of my heart. Restrain my many wayward thoughts, and destroy the temptations that beset me with such violence. Let your great strength be with me in the fight, and overcome the seducing desires of the flesh that rage in me like evil beasts. By your power establish peace, Psalm chapter 122, verse 7. And let your praises be sung in the temple of a pure heart. Command the winds and storm, Matthew chapter 8, verse 26. Subdue the fury of the seas and the blast of the north wind, and there shall be a great calm. Send out your light, Psalm chapter 43, verse 3. And your truth to shine over the world. For until your light illuminates my soul, I am dull earth, formless and empty. Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. Pour forth your grace from above, and bathe my heart in the dew of heaven. Supply fresh streams of devotion to water the face of the earth. Genesis chapter 2, verse 6. And produce good and perfect fruit. Inspire my mind, now burdened by my sins, and fix my whole desire on heavenly things, so that, having once tasted the sweetness of eternal joys, I may turn with distaste from all the passing pleasures of this world. Release me and free my heart from all dependence on the passing consolation of wicked things, since none of these can yield true satisfaction or appease my longings. Unite me to yourself with the unbreakable bonds of love. You alone can testify the soul that loves you, and without you the world is worthless. Chapter 24, on the evils of curiosity. Christ, beware of vain curiosity, my son, and do not busy yourself in profitless matters. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 13. What are they to you? Follow me. John chapter 1, verse 22. What concern is it of yours whether a man is good or evil, or what he says and does? You will not be called on to answer for others, but you will certainly have to give a full account of your own life. Romans chapter 14, verse 12. Why then must you meddle where you have no need? I know the hearts of men, and nothing under the sun is hid from my knowledge. I know the life of every man, his thoughts, his desires, and his intentions. Therefore trust yourself entirely to my care, and let your hearts be at peace. Let the meddlesome man trouble himself as he will. His words and deeds will recoil on his own head, for he cannot deceive me. Do not court the favor of powerful patrons, nor popular favor, nor not even the particular affection of friends. All these things are distractions, and fill the heart with uncertainty. If you will but await my coming, and throw open the door of your heart, I myself will speak to you, and reveal to you my secrets. Be ready, watch and pray. Above all, be humble. Chapter 25, on lasting peace and true progress. Christ, I have said, peace I leave with you, my own peace I give you. Not as the world gives do I give you. John chapter 14, verse 27. All men want peace, but all do not seek those things that bring true peace. My peace is with the humble and gentle of heart. Matthew chapter 11, verse 29. And depends on great patience. If you listen to me and follow my words, you shall find true peace. The disciple, what must I do, Lord? Christ, keep guard over your whole life. your actions and words. Direct all efforts to the single purpose of pleasing me. Seek and desire myself alone. Never make rash judgments on the behavior of others, and do not interfere when your opinion is not sought. If you do as I say, you will seldom be troubled in mind. But do not imagine that you can avoid anxiety in this life, or that you may never experience sorrow of heart or pain of body, for true peace is only to be found in the state of eternal rest. So do not think that you have found true peace when you happen to experience no trouble, and do not think that all is well when no one opposes you. Nor should you imagine that everything is perfect when everything happens in accordance with your wishes. Do not hold an exaggerated opinion of yourself, or believe that you are a favorite of God when you enjoy the great grace of devotion, when you enjoy the grace of great devotion and sweetness. For it is not by these things that the true lover of holiness is known, or is a man's spiritual progress dependent on such things. The disciple: Lord, on what then does it depend? Christ: on complete surrender of your heart to the will of God, not seeking to have your own way, either in great matters or small, in time or in eternity. If you will make this surrender, you will thank God with equal gladness, both in good times and in bad, and will accept everything as from his hand, with an untroubled mind. Be courageous and of such unshakable faith that, when spiritual comfort is withdrawn, you may prepare your heart for even greater trials. Do not think it unjust that you should suffer so much, but confess that I am just in all my dealings, and praise my holy name. In so doing, you will walk in the true and noble way of peace, and I will surely come to you again and give you great joy. Job chapter 33, verse 26. Only think humbly of yourself, and I promise you as great peace. Psalm 72, verse 7. Only think humbly of yourself, and I promise you as great peace as man may enjoy in this life.